don't you introduce yourself, where you're from, and how long you've been here?
I'm Jake. I'm from Warren, Michigan. I also grew up in Sterling Heights. They both border each other over on the east side, and I've been in this program for 11 and a half months.
What was going on in your life that was spinning itself out of control?
I grew up in a very broken household. I grew up with an alcoholic father who was abusive towards me and my brother and my mother. And I grew up just not understanding why I had to live with that, why I had to deal with that, why God would do that to me. So I just had so much hatred and anger throughout my entire life, and I went to the bottle just to numb myself so I could get through that on a daily basis. It was very rough, and I never thought that what plagued my childhood would ravage my early adulthood.
So you experienced this from those that you loved, and you were hurt by that. And did you see yourself becoming that yourself? I mean, you had this hatred towards that individual or towards this situation, and yet you might have found yourself maybe becoming that type of individual that you didn't want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't want anything to do with my family or friends. I lived in complete isolation. I hated everyone and everything. I wanted nothing to do with anybody. I hated myself. I hated that I had to wake up in the morning and look at myself in the mirror. And I just drank to take that pain away, hoping to pass out every night. I didn't want to live anymore. I wanted nothing to do with life, and I wanted nothing to do with God.
Did people know what was going on?
Yeah, my whole family knew. They would try to reach out to me constantly. My grandpa's been trying to get me in this program for 5 years, ever since I left off to college, and I just completely ignored them and shut them away because I wanted nothing to do with it. I didn't want to better myself. I didn't think I deserved a better life.
You didn't think that you deserved a different life. Do you hear that? So you're struggling with some things on identity, struggling with some things on value. At what point was there a moment of epiphany? Maybe it was the ministry of your grandfather after 5 years of trying to get you into this program. What was that breaking point that finally kind of ushered you in?
Well, between 2021 and the time I got here, I was in and out of the hospital about 40 times. I had a doctor that told me I would probably be dead by the time I turned 27. I'm only 24. And I don't know, one day I woke up and I realized if I actually don't get a grasp on this thing, I'm going to die. I, flirted with death the last time I detoxed in the hospital. I had a seizure in the hospital from my withdrawals, and that's the moment that I realized this is serious and this is really going to take my life. And then I started worrying about where am I going to go when that happens.
And so your grandfather, who's been praying for you, you're in the hospital. What was that conversation like?
I remember calling my grandpa, and I told him I just apologized for everything that I dragged my family through over the past few years. And I could tell my grandpa was starting to cry over the phone. And he just told me, just pack up your stuff and come over here. We'll get you in this program, and we'll do what it needs to take.
And I think that's a fascinating part. If there's some grandpas, if there's some grandmas who are here today, you have a powerful witness in the lives of those of your grandchildren and your families. And for 5 years, having a grandfather pray day in, day out for you, a phenomenal thing. So you showed up, you entered into the program. What has been going on in your life over the last 11 and a half months? And it's a process, right? It doesn't happen all at once, and you still have a ways to go. Just kind of bring everyone in on what's been going on.
Well, it's easy to say the person that came in 11 months ago is not the person standing on this stage today. I went from a guy who I hated community, I hated being around people. This whole group of guys behind me, they're the best people that ever come into my life. I care for these guys more than anything. The relationships that I've built through this program, God has done a complete 180 change on my heart. I'm so indebted to Him for the things that He's done for me. I truly realized how much God values and loves and cares about me and has plans for me and has a future for me. And I can't wait to see what He does in and through me for the rest of my life. I'm just glad to have this beautiful gift of life.